Hello. Today I have with me a rather interesting guest. He is a Danish person, and this podcast is for expats, stories about expats. But this week we will focus on a Danish perspective on expats living in Denmark. My name is Arun Prakash, and today I have with me Jesper Hansen. Jesper, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
Yeah. And give us a short introduction about you, Jesper.
Yeah, my name is Jesper, and I'm 26 and now live in Copenhagen. And I think definitely since I moved to Copenhagen, then I have been I think I actually have been more part of the international environment than any Danish environment.
Okay.
Both with the Toastmasters, but also just from like network groups. So also part of this expat entrepreneur group in Copenhagen. That's for like small expat startups. But I think really, because for me, I really enjoy being with international people, and you kind of, I don't know, it's maybe just because you have like this mix of culture. So it's kind of like in some way a taking time bomb before you say something stupid that actually didn't piss someone off. Because it's kind of like you have to navigate and figure things out as you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think especially a big part of it also is that I travel a lot as a kid. So I met like a lot of different cultures and been in various countries.
Okay.
Which really also make me more familiar with different types of cultures. And then now also I'm also part of a startup, an AI startup, where we help enterprises retain their knowledge and also make it more easily accessible within the organization. And the fun part of that is Danish registered as a Danish company, but I'm the only Danish person in the company, and then I'm with just Americans.
How many how many countries have you traveled, Jesper?
Oh,
Want to count?
should I count them? Okay, let's count them.
Should we count them? Yeah, let's do that.
So that's Germany, Sweden, England.
Okay.
Then we have Greece, Spain.
Yeah.
We have Cuba.
Okay, that's far.
Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
Thailand.
My God.
Mexico, Venezuela, Cuba. I'm not sure if I forget some, but then for Spain, is a lot of the islands.
Yeah.
So
is it because of work that you traveled? Is it because of work?
Some of it is because of work.
Yeah, okay. And how long have you been traveling?
Vacation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, some of them are vacation and some of them are work. What do you enjoy most about traveling abroad, being a Dane?
Yeah, so usually I actually mainly travel for vacation, so it's actually you see the sun. That's
okay.
If you only have that 3 months a year, where we actually have the sun.
Which other months do you travel?
Yeah, it's funny enough. The summer times you travel because when you have, especially from younger, it's like there you have the largest holiday break from the school, so it's been easier to travel. Yeah. But also then sometimes in autumn we have that 1 week break in autumn, and also during the winter we have the winter break. Yeah.
I usually travel, living in Denmark for the last 5.5 years. I traveled in the winter times abroad and stay in Denmark in the summer period because I like being in Denmark during the summer. It feels better than my own country, India. It's 24 degrees max, and I love anywhere between 20 to 24, and summer is just fantastic in Denmark. But it doesn't last long, by the way. So it's like 2 weeks of teaser and then rain and then back to normal. But But that's my experience.
I guess it's also super hot in India, right?
It is. Have you traveled to India before?
No, I've never been there.
Okay. No,
Never been there.
but you've been to Saudi Arabia, you've been to Cuba. These are two different extreme ends countries. What have you learned by traveling to these countries? Because this podcast is for expats living in Denmark, and I wanted to ask you on a Danish person's perspective on expats. So when you travel abroad, what do you see normally? What you don't see normally in Denmark? What do you see there?
So I think I'm more usually been to like in some way in the cultures where it's completely opposite compared to the Danish culture, because I've usually been more like people a bit more lean back. It feels like a little bit more relaxing compared to what you see is just we take it as it comes. Right here it's just like boom, you have to. It's head on. You cannot waste the time.
Yeah, time.
Yeah, but sometimes it's also nice because it's like you can just come there and then you just in it, and in some way you can just relax and chill out because it's good. And you're kind of in with the flow.
Yeah.
Of it, but it's also just in some way fun to speak to people from another culture, because it's like you're talking about things where you actually in some way think the same, but that's just like slightly different to how you maybe would express it or actually behave. But I think all in all, like what I actually seen is most people think the same, doesn't matter what culture.
That's interesting. I actually have judged Danish people, that people who respect expats in Denmark are the ones who actually traveled abroad. And I have this notion, I don't know why I think this way, but I normally felt that those people whom I've interacted with generally like me because they have either traveled abroad or they have either worked with expats, and they mutually respect each other. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but this is my experiences. Touch upon what is your experiences working with expats in Denmark.
I can actually see that because this is what I also hear for other things. It's mainly like, I would say the older, older generation who's maybe not been as seasoned in traveling and meet other cultures. They have maybe like traveled actually a lot, but they're just like, then they travel and then they come back to Denmark in their own bubble where it's just staying. And I think it's a bit sad, but I think actually also due to the news is typically like in some way you highlight everybody else who's not a Dane as doing bad things, so you only hear about all the bad stuff. And there's like there's kind of this saying, if I show you 10 videos, for example, let's just say of a policeman who do what can we see? Yeah, if I show you 10 videos of a policeman who just beating up people for no reason, then you will automatically think police is bad, because that's everything you are seeing.
That is what I see.
Yeah, that's what you are seeing. So if I show you 10 videos where the policemen only good things, then you think, they're fine.
Everything is nice and they.
Yeah, so I think like there's maybe a bit more like hesitant to it. Is in some way the older people, because they're not like have really that many like experience and interaction, and then they just fit with. Because the news is essentially only selling negativity, because that's what sticks. So you just get all. So they only get all the negative side of it. But I think, for me, I find the most funny, the best thing about like expat is also you get like this these different cultures in, which kind of mix things up and makes things more exciting.
Where do you live currently in Copenhagen? Like are you in Copenhagen or are you in Sjælland or which region are you in?
In Copenhagen.
Copenhagen. But where are you originally from in Denmark?
I'm from Kalundborg, which is
Kalundborg?
complete opposite. Yeah, but it's still on Zealand, but complete opposite.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have Copenhagen here and then it's out here.
Vestjylland. Is it called as Vestjylland by any chance?
Yeah, Vestjylland.
Yeah. Okay. I worked with a lot of Danes and with people from different parts of Denmark, and I for some reason I feel like I struggle with the accents when they speak in Danish. I also interact sometimes with Danish people in Danish, and they have a sense of humor that says, "Oh, you won't understand him because he speaks Jysk. You don't understand him because he's from Jutland." And is it normally a healthy debate, or why is it the case? Do you know the reason behind why people have this?
Beef. It's the good side versus the bad side.
Yeah.
It's like two football clubs that's rivals.
Okay. And what are those clubs?
No, it's just like, for example, not like
it's
not
an example,
but it's like it, kind of like the same. If you have two rival clubs, then it's like, oh, you for Jutland, huh?
But you hate each other, or is it just like?
No, it's just for fun.
For fun, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess
so.
Have you also noticed for you, like, the difference when you talk to someone who is a bit older versus who is younger? That the younger is more, I guess, more acceptance for internationals versus the older.
I actually have a mixed feelings. I worked with elder generation Danes, but I also think that some of the elder people I worked with are not really okay working with me. They're not a bit flexible working with me, but there are also elder people whom I currently work with. They love to work with me. It's a mix. But in general, the young people are so easy to gel with because those are the people, either they have traveled knowing some places. Let's say they travel to Asia and they know how Asia is and how the world is on the other side, or they either go and study programs, let's say in Australia or some of the scholarship programs. So they have the awareness, like you mentioned, about exposure to our different cultures and how things work there. So it's much more easy and flexible for me to work with the young generation in Denmark. Yeah,
I think also, especially most of us, also for me, in school we grow. I think also we just grew up more with people from different cultures. So in my class there was a guy from Somalia and two from Morocco, one from Lebanon. And it was just like everyone would still talk shit to each other, and we learn things in Arabic and
so you already have a mix there, and you kind of
but it's like already normal in some way that it's just how it is in some way.
So you said you worked abroad, and now you have an organization where your team is a mix of internationals. What do you do, Jesper, on a given day? What does your day job look like?
Yeah, it's a bit in some way up in there. It can change.
Yeah,
legit from one day to another. There's nothing that's stable because it is a startup, and right now it's just like get clients, get funding, and whatever you have to do, you just gotta do it. But of course, there's a focus area. So my area is more on the financial part, and also a bit of marketing / events, but also helping more on preparing for like the customer side, and then support in a more commercial and fundraising sense.
Yeah, and which industry are we talking about in terms of whatever activities you do?
Well, you can say you can call it enterprise software, but it's essentially AI for enterprises.
Okay, enterprise for AI. Okay. Yeah. And how long have you been in this area?
I started in the company 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then we slowly added more and more. We actually started as an edtech company, educational technology, and then it slowly shifted into we become more and more AI also. As we realized there was no really money, and we couldn't not really create a business in edtech, so it created a natural shift.
From you took a natural shift from educational technology to AI.
Into
and
AI. And we have already like built the most of it, so it's and wanting to say the foundation of it, so it's just like changing a few things on top of what we already have built.
And your primary clients or customers come from local people, or is it international market targeting?
It's mainly Europe and US, but right now we are just focused on. It's mainly through like the founders network that we are trying to get clients, and right now they're just in Denmark and a few in the US.
Yeah. How was working with expats in your company?
Now they're all Americans, so I feel like it's kind of like I think it's some way easier. With in some way Americans. To some regard, because also is a lot of the culture is affected by the American culture, so it's like you really actually tap into it in some way. It's a bit easier. But there's of course still some differences. One difference that I actually have noticed is the Americans are a bit more easier outgoing, whereas the Danish people be more like holding back.
you accept that?
Yeah, it's how it is.
So that in that way it helps your team to get well or collaborate better, I guess. How does the communication level work? Because I work in an international company, and I think one of the biggest advantages big companies have is diversity, strength with diversity. But there's also a challenge where communication then plays a huge role in understanding these cultures. In your case, you deal with a lot of international, specifically Americans in your case. What are the challenges that you face in terms of communication? Or do you actually have challenges that you face in the organization when you're communicating?
Yeah, I think it's probably more challenges for me. Because sometimes it can be also... Because it's like, I think in two languages. Sometimes I think in Danish, sometimes I think in English. So it's like I have to... especially if it's really complex, then it can be very difficult to explain, because I have to say it in English, but if I think it in Danish, I translate it while I'm saying it, so it can be very, very like messed up sometimes what you are saying. So that can be quite difficult sometimes to formulate actually and express what you are thinking. Also, a big thing, like just for me personally, was before I hadn't. Of course, I spoke English, but not like really on a day-to-day basis like that. So that was a bit of a change that I had to make and be. I simply just talk and also then become more comfortable. Was it just about? But yeah, it's definitely like expression exactly what you think can be difficult sometimes.
And I get your point, because when I communicate to Danes in Danish, I think a lot, and the delivery is a huge challenge, because, for example, let's say a conversation like jeg skal bare lige tænke det vil vi. So I'm just trying to recollect some of the words and then which word should I use to actually convey this message, and most of my challenge is actually the usage of the words, right? And I have to process too much before I deliver. And also the pronunciation part, because when I speak in Danish, sometimes the Danish people don't understand what I speak, and I have to like reconsider, should I continue in Danish or you know what I mean?
It's like sometimes you try to say a word and you just you cannot just get it out probably is just super hard.
If you have to suggest me one piece of advice to make me look smarter in front of a Danish person when I speak Danish, what would be that? What would that be? Any phrases that I can use to make me appear more smarter in front of a Danish person?
Yeah,
What's-
you just say you arrived. You just arrived early this morning and already learned so
Yeah.
much Danish. Then they go,
Yeah.
wow. No, it's a joke.
I know.
I actually saw that as a comedy joke when someone, where the comedian said, someone, when someone say, oh yeah, you speak good Danish, just say, oh yeah, I arrived yesterday. Just arrived.
That's
Like
the
you learned
irony,
it all
right?
in one
Irony.
day or something
Yeah.
like that.
And nobody's going to believe it. I mean, that's
No,
a no-brainer.
I think they will get the humor.
Yeah, I get the
That's for
humor.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand our
Fully.
humors.
That is a good point. Walk us through the humor part. Is it so normal that Danes make jokes without knowing a person? Because sometimes people struggle with understanding if it's a humor or is it that he meant it personally, or there's a fine line between what is a joke and what is not a joke. And I've oftentimes come across being made sarcasms or irony or so. Tell me a bit about why is it normal in Denmark? Is it the way it is for you as well, or?
Is I guess we can joke about everything. So, and we also use a lot of irony and sarcasm.
Irony, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit tough. But I guess for expats, it's also the way it comes off, because this is in my experience. Then you can confirm me if I'm wrong or not. But it's like sometimes when we say things that it can sound super harsh, even though we didn't mean it to be hard. But that's just how it comes out when Danish people speak, because it's very direct. So it sounds hard, but for us it's not. It's just how
that is the
communicate.
biggest struggle. Yeah, that is also the challenges with communication, right? It's open, it's direct, but it's also undigestible sometimes. And that is also a bitter truth. If they think they mean that way, they mean that way, and they're not beating around the bush. It's point to the point and sharp, and but it is also sometimes a joke taken differently. And I've come across these ironies many times during work, off work, every time.
Oh yeah.
And I've often struggled if it's personally meant to me or is it a joke, or I'm still struggling to really differentiate that. But I'm coping up. And I know I have really good colleagues who make jokes, and I feel like I've often sensed when they make jokes or irony, I felt like more connected because they have the luxury to get to know me better. So I actually think in that way, if they could make a joke around this, they're trying to know me on a personal level. That is how I see it. And they have time to think about coming up with this stuff. For some reason, I believe that. And that is also one way to actually talk about it with a cup of coffee, or drink outdoors or after work, the Friday evening. And I think we talk about a lot of cultural things that goes in, because I believe that is one way to open up.
How was your first reactions to a Danish joke you didn't understand?
I was stunned. Like I was like, what? Seriously? And like, so for me, it was hard to digest the fact, honestly. But over the years, I realized this guy, he thinks maybe he misunderstood me, or maybe this guy thinks that I have to take things light on a lighter note. So that understanding takes some time. It took me some time, at least a couple of years to know that. But I've worked with a couple of companies though, so I met a lot of people, mostly Danish people, and I get the idea. It is not just one person, or it is not just one group. It's normal, and it's quite normal. So I don't know how to differentiate if it's a sarcasm or an irony, but I actually differentiate.
Yeah,
But I
it
don't
can be
think
hard sometimes.
It is hard. But I also don't want to take things personally, because it doesn't make any value if I take things personally. So my cultural lessons is, it's called as chillax, chill.
Yeah. Actually, because sometimes it's also hard for Danes, because someone is like, then some guy is super good at holding also the poker face and everything, and just be like, and you're like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And even us, and you just, that's total bullshit. What? You serious? And then you kind of, you try to push him to say, oh no, just, don't worry, just bullshit. And you, and then some people, they just keep holding it. So you're like, oh. Then even as a Dane, you a bit, okay, did he actually mean that? That was a bit weird. But I also actually experienced, so then I also just said some jokes in Danish, and you don't really think about it, but that you have to tailor it to someone who might know. So sometimes I had noticed, oh, okay, that one might not link that good. That was not the best one.
I have a question to ask about the journey with Toastmasters, because I know you in Toastmasters. We met in Toastmasters for many occasions, and I never knew why you chose to be part of Toastmasters. Give us some
you
brief round of introduction, yeah.
I never told you.
Or personal reasons why you chose Toastmasters.
Yeah, okay. So actually...
Yeah, you told me, but yeah, you wanted to tell it to our audience as well.
No,
I'm not sure.
I'm actually not sure. But actually the year before, December, when was it? It was 23 I started in May.
Yeah.
So in December 22, I was on this webinar event call with a guy called Patrick Bet-David.
Okay.
And then it was about this business year planning, that you plan the whole year, but also was personal planning, that you personally plan your own year.
Okay.
So part of it, what he said, was that you had to give each year a word. So for me, one thing I started really thought about was that, okay, it's actually good to start improving your communication. Also because I was actually at that time also struggling a bit also to express my ideas in English, and we communicate properly the point across, deliver the message actually precisely. So I took that idea, and then I put communication as the word for the year in 2023.
Okay.
And then I started try to more in some way just self-noticing different things, but also just try to talk more to strangers.
Okay.
And then one day I was training with Jay. And for everyone who's not know, he's a personal trainer and a friend.
Okay.
But then we were training, and then I said, oh yeah, for this year I want to improve my communication. And then he said, oh yeah, you can, there's this Toastmaster thing that I'm part of, I can send you a link to it. So he sent me a link, and then I just signed up right away.
Okay.
I had not been there one time. I signed up, paid the membership fee, done the show up 1st of May, I think it was.
Fantastic.
I think even that day, first meeting I was in, I went out to do a table topic.
Wow. That's a great story to actually hear, because so your one word was communication, and you started looking for ways to improve communication, to send the message across, and here you are. So personal feedbacks on the last, if you reflect on the last 1 year, the whole of 2023, do you see a considerable change in the way you communicate? What was your lessons learned the whole year?
My lesson learned...
It sounds like a school stuff, but I guess personally it means a lot for you, right? The communication part.
Yeah, I also actually continued, to be honest, in what I can say in this year, but it's more as socialization. And that's, of course, more like socialize, but it's also just more like I want to put myself into a situation where it's more like meaningful and I can more like communicate ideas still and socialize at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think probably one of the biggest thing for 23 has probably been that, okay, sometimes just shut up for a moment, just stop, and then breathe, and just think about what are you actually about to say, and then say it. I think that's probably from 23.
My goal was something similar. I used to be a speed talker, and for me, communication.
Speed talker?
Yeah, speed talker, meaning fast. Like I super fast, and I guess it's part of the accent. I speak Indian language, and some of the Indian languages normally tend to be like what you hear as Spanish people speak, and it's quite fast. We tend to use the same pace with English, which is completely fine as long as people could understand. But the challenge is not every people understand. Not all people have the capacity to understand this accent. So there's accent and there's also the pace in which we speak. So I thought, why can't I pace a bit slow and be a bit more clear in the way I pronounce words? So my goal with Toastmasters is to appear more confident on stage, plus be more clear and focus on the pace.
Clarity. I think, also
clarity.
For me.
Yeah, clarity. Yeah, I think
my problem sometimes is I smile too much, then my mouth gets stiff, and sometimes I just not move. I'm not moving my mouth enough.
Facial muscles.
To actually get some power behind the words.
Now talking about the facial muscles,
your accent is not the worst, I would say.
So it's not good either. Is that what you meant?
No.
It's not the worst.
It's actually quite easy to understand you, because it's more when it becomes like this super Indian accent where it's just full on. Then I'm even just listening to it is difficult. I don't know. For me, it's so hard to listen to an Indian accent. I did I did this financial diploma course, and it was an Indian tutor, so I just had this fake Indian accent the whole way.
Okay.
I think the most difficult part was to listen to the
accent. Yeah.
Yeah, to the accent.
I think it goes with a lot of different cultures, but I guess you're right. Yeah. The accent plays a huge role in whether we could understand the language or not, and I think. For me, when I struggle understanding the difference between Jysk and Dansk, I have the struggle in me. And I think it goes with dialects and accents. You're right. Yeah. So it plays a huge role. Coming back to the...
But also some of...
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I really... for me, in that... When I did that course, it was not that I couldn't understand him. It was more like the accent didn't feel good to listen to.
Okay.
It was not like pleasant for the ears.
Pleasant. Okay. But was the course useful, or did you learn anything?
Yeah, it was useful, but it was a bit of a headache.
Headache.
To get through. Also, it was long. It was super long.
Okay.
So, and it was finance, so it's not the most super exciting thing to listen to.
Walk us through a bit about your personal journey with fitness.
Yeah, we're not calling it bodybuilding. That's maybe for some others.
Okay.
But I always play sport.
Sport, okay.
I play football and then a bit of badminton during the winter season.
Okay.
And then I went to boarding school. There was a lot of sport, running and so on. And then
which school?
A boarding school.
Boarding school, okay.
Yeah, so it's actually very popular to go to a boarding school for Danish.
Is it so?
Kids.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
At what age?
It's like 15, 16.
Okay. Is it tiendeklasse?
Yeah, you can do tiendeklasse or 9th grade.
Okay, 9. class and 10. class. Okay.
Yeah.
It's normal to go to boarding school. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so mine was very sports focused. So so I did a lot of. I had to do gymnastic. I was forced to do that. We did running. I played handball, tennis, football,
Why not?
and then I
All
actually
sports.
stopped. Yeah, I stopped playing sport afterwards. But then I
Okay.
just continued like running, and then I did some push-ups and a little bit, and as it became easier to do maybe back extension, sit-ups, push-ups, then I just started YouTubing was some new exercises that I can do, and then I think after 3 years doing that, then I was okay. Now I really want a proper training program. Because I didn't want to go to the gym. For me, it was too boring just to stand there in the mirror and look at yourself and lift weights. So I did a lot of calisthenics and body weight in the beginning. And then I found actually a full body workout to do 3 times a week. And I just continued doing that until I moved to Copenhagen, where I continued to do it for 1 year. And then in 21, I started experimenting more with different workout programs, and I bought some more equipment, elastic bands, and so on to use and add in to do more exercises. And then I just start building more and more there. And then I got into my current way of training is that I train outside from April to December. I do more calisthenics focus, and then I also incorporate a lot of running and sprinting, plyometrics as well. And then for the winter, from December to April, I do weightlifting. But I follow like an functional training style, athlete training style. So it's more like speed and power.
Now, based on what I listen to you, for me as an expat, if I wanted to move to a new country, the first thing that I would probably find is a way to socialize. And I've spoken to a lot of expats. Probably most of them come up to a place where they start with playing badminton or, let's say, fitness, and they find friends there, they find internationals to speak to. But they don't know what exactly, like, let's say, activities that are popular in Denmark that is quite normal for an expat to sign up. In your experiences, if you want to recommend some of the activities, fitness activities or playing badminton or idrats in general, what would be your advice, a piece of advice for expats looking to socialize, network, and also train to start with? What do you think? And suggest some good tips.
I think football is probably a football club.
But is it easy for an expat to sign up for a football club? Because I don't know the complications that it involves, because it's not a sport for an Indian living in Denmark. And maybe that I have my own challenges. I mean, you can challenge me.
Football is very like popular, so I think it's more. I think more just in terms of the accessibility of it. And I have seen some. I actually part of this WhatsApp group of like expats who meet up every Sunday to play football.
Okay.
But it's like I guess you had to know one guy from there to get in, so it's not like that accessible.
So it's invite only.
Because it's like just some guys from when they studied, they organized the group.
Yeah.
And then they're just onboarded like friends as they have known. But I think there's a few like teams for expats specifically. But I'm actually not quite sure. But I guess it'll probably be one of the best way because it's very. You can probably, no matter where you live, you can probably play football. Then I would say, what more? I think that if you're in Copenhagen, I think especially during summer, there's a lot of events you can go to.
Okay.
Specifically,
any events that you think of?
There's like dance events. And
go to. Yeah.
There's also festivals, but I guess that will not be the best.
Yeah.
Best way to go.
You mean the salsa, open
salsa,
dance, and
tango,
bachata, tango? Yeah. I've tried that once last summer, and that's also fun to do in general, right? But so football is what you suggest in the first place. Okay, I will give it a try because I like sport. I like sport. I play badminton, by the way. I used to play badminton. I had an injury, but I love playing badminton. It's also like universal sport. And then it's indoors plus point, which is that you can play all season indoors. The only drawback that I had back in the days is that very rarely I find people who have time in the weekends. So I have to sign up to a club in the weekends. I live in Gentofte, so I signed up to Gentofte Badminton Club, and I used to go play every Saturdays. And it's pretty fun. I mean, I also meet a lot of Danish people plus expats. And that's one way. But football has never been my first choice. But I guess...
No, but if you like badminton, then you can go to badminton. Yeah. I just said that one because it's the most popular one.
Of course.
Because I think especially if you go to, for example, a gym, it's a bit harder because everyone has their AirPods and everything. And there's the music. So I think more... For the gym, you actually have to sign up to classes. More because there you actually also in some way interact with people.
That is amazing.
Because also you stand there, you maybe wait outside for the instructor, you come in, everyone gets ready, you can talk to people, and you can also quickly talk to people after.
Sign up
maybe maybe the first few times you will not have really any interaction with everyone, but when you keep showing up there regularly, people get more comfortable with you. Because I also heard that a lot from other expats, that it's like, in order really to socialize with a Dane, they kind of need 2 beers before you get anywhere. So if you show up to badminton, especially football, with some beers, then I think you will make a lot of friends with the Danes.
Tip number 1. Sign up to a class.
And remember to your best bet is to bring a grøn tuborg.
What is that? What is that coming in?
That's a beer. Grøn tuborg. That's your best bet to make friends. That's then sure, and probably most people will drink it.
Is that popular, Tuborg? Not the Carlsberg?
The Carlsberg is also
Which
popular.
One?
But the worst thing you can do is buy Harbo Pilsner. That's terrible.
Okay. I get it. Okay, Jesper, now that we have talked about a lot of segments where you journey, travel abroad, work, and then your goals with AI, and then we touched upon your communication goals. If we have to conclude this podcast, I wanted to ask you one question before we conclude this podcast, and that is, what is the mindset the expats could have to better collaborate with a Danish person? It can be anybody from any country. And a tip that Danish people like you could suggest and say, hey, this would be nice if an expat is this way. It doesn't mean to be that the expat has to behave that way, but what feels comfortable when it comes to internationals working with Danes. What makes collaboration much easier? What is the perspective from a Danish person? What do you think?
It's a bit hard.
It's hard.
I think it also depends on the Danish person that you're dealing with. And I think the most important thing is that both the expat and the Dane you're dealing with it needs somewhat of an open mind. In the way that actually you have to be willing to just spend 10 minutes extra just to actually make sure you understand each other. Because sometimes it can seem it's probably like the same the other way, that then you will be, they don't understand anything. You can't, in some way, because everything will be, oh yeah, that's super simple, but then if you say to someone in another culture, they might not really get what you mean, because it's actually a thing that's related to Denmark and nothing else. So the expat person might just be a bit clueless and not understand it. So I think if you just like, and it can also go the other way around, that why are things like this? So so I think there has to be some level of, you have to have some level of openness to just, okay, let's try to understand here actually what is the person, what does the person mean, and also just I think one thing that's important also express how you are interpreting things. So you have an active communication and try to help each other understand each other.
Yeah. Cool. Jesper, it was a pleasure having you on the show. I guess I hope it was the same for you as well.
Yes, it was. Thank you, Aaron, for inviting me.
Thank you.
The first, am I the first Dane?
You're the first Dane. Yes, you are.
Hashtag number 1. Re out.
So we cut there. I'll just stop recording, but don't cancel.